Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's made it over to the new stream. I'll just wait until everybody gets over here. I'm going to make sure. Let me go ahead and deal with this. Could the people? Hi, everybody. Hi, Renee. Hi, Mari and Scully. Could anybody who's hi, Valerie and Angela and Margaret. I'm having trouble encoding the stream for the. Anyway, the live stream is the only thing that I can do because the coding is a problem. It's a mess. So I hold the space and then I come on. Anyway, sorry about that. Hi, Chatty Cathy and Valerie and Angela and Margaret and Allens and Marie Kios Martel. That's a nice name. Carla, Della, Donna, Barbara. Ooh, and we've got the Bosie being our monitor today. Wandering Eyes is back. Yay. So is Pierre and Erica and Joey. So we're starting a little, hi, Chetty Cathy. And Kiana, Sharon. CC's Whimsies. Oh, another Whimsy. Oh, that's quite rare. Okay, so we're starting a little early today for a couple of reasons. The main one being it's going to be 97 degrees in an apartment with no air conditioner. So I thought, I better start the stream 30 minutes early. Usually I start the streams, people wanted to know the time. It's usually between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. My time, and I'm in California. So welcome everybody. We'll be here as long as I can be here. I think I'm going to try and get out a little early today because I do have some patients, as I mentioned. So last night's remote, wow. Let's go through everything. I've got notes. Last night's remote was all about Britain. It was, I never get to decide. It's weird. I never get to decide where in the meditation when I first do the meditation, for people who are learning the remote or the heart-centered meditation, when I get into the deep relaxed state, if you're using the Sylvia mind control method, this is something I will draw back on. And you're getting into that relaxed state where you're dropping your brain waves. You're getting into those alpha waves, those lower waves. And then you can begin to scan the globe. That's one of the first types of meditation I learned. So a lot of the time I will start my remotes that way, where I will just check in. I will just imagine myself rotating over the earth, and then if I see a lot of energy and emotional tension, I'll pull down and try and take a look at that. So last night I did just that technique of just scanning the globe. There was a couple of things I found that were pretty interesting, but the first thing I want to talk about is Britain, and anybody who's in Britain or knows anything about this can just tell me about it, because we're Americans, we don't get the news. We really have to work to find out what's happening in the rest of the world. Is unfortunate, but it looked like they're going to try and get rid of Brexit. It felt like that. I saw them throwing in the towel on Brexit. But it's not just throwing in the towel on Brexit. It's now entering a phase energetically where people are becoming frantic. It's like a boat I had an image of like a boat sinking, and everyone is instead of trying to save themselves, they're attacking and blaming each other, when what they need to be doing is working together to try and keep the boat afloat. So it's as if the boat is sinking in Britain. This is the image. And instead of, hey, we need to plug this up, instead they're attacking and blaming each other, which is not going to get them very far in Britain. The other thing that I saw in the remote was that the Prime Minister, I didn't see him serving for very long. In the original remote I had done a couple months ago, it looked like it would be a brief amount of time he would be there. But if you're talking about plots, like the plot that's happening here in the United States with the GOP, where they're trying to make it out like Trump is crazy, because maybe he is, I don't know. A similar thing seems to be going on with Boris Johnson. There's the British kind of perfected this. Minimize, trivialize, debase, discard, rinse, repeat. It's kind of like the playbook of the malignant narcissist. You know, you trivialize and minimize the victim so that anything that comes out of their mouth has no validity. And then you debase them, insult them in the public eye, and then you discard them. And it's easy to discard them because you've done the other steps. So that seems to be what's happening with poor Boris Johnson. There's going to be a building tide of this trivialize, minimize, debase, discard, debase, discard, repeat. So that's the kind of energy around Boris Johnson. By the time this is over, he's going to not just look like a bumbling fool. They might make it out like he's touched. He's, that he's not totally with it mentally. So I see him crashing and burning, quite frankly, because there are just too many people coming at him, and it's this energy of, I don't see him having any allies. He might have 2 allies, 3 allies in Parliament at this point. It's like I don't see any allies around him. So the future, I feel kind of sorry for him in a way, but I feel like the future of Boris Johnson is so bad, he might not even have a future in politics. And then I was asked to look at Nigel Farage. Is that how you say his name? His energy is even worse, because his energy, when we go into that energy, he comes across as smarter, but that also makes him more dangerous, and also that he engineered some of this. And his energy almost looked like he was working for the other side. It was like he was openly communicating with the other side. But it's also interesting because when you go into Nigel Farage's energy, there's also a MI6 connection there. So I don't know what that's about. If he's already an informant, then that might protect him. It looks like he's some kind of double agent or informant, and that's kind of protected him. So I don't know what that's about, but we can go ahead and look at that, anybody who's interested. And I just see Brexit collapsing. I don't see Brexit making it. I don't know if there's Brexit supporters here, but this is something that came up in the past when I did remotes on it. It just, there are too many people wanting too many different things, and I don't see any cohesion. In fact, there's so much dissent that people are even talking about dissolving the union. There's a lot of activity now starting to happen in Wales, not just Scotland. So I'm also getting pulled into Wales and the perimeters in Wales. So it's almost like they're living independently now of the UK. Like there's this pullback. They're not more united as a result of Brexit. That's not what I feel when I go into this energy. They're actually more divided, and it's actually creating a rift that could take years to put back together. Does that make sense? I don't know. So that was last night's remote. Yeah, I don't understand the Brexit thing. We're Americans. Evidently, they've got trade going with Europe, and all I see is a bunch of trade contracts. But the people who seem to be the leadership in Britain seems to be really afraid of Brexit. And I think Boris Johnson is not long for Parliament. His energy was terrible. But also, they're kind of letting him self-sabotage. They've abandoned him to some extent. He's got 2 people next to him. I don't know who those 2 people are, because I don't know the people in Parliament very, you Americans. But it looked like he had support from 2 people, but that everybody else was kind of scared of being associated with him. So that was what was going on with Brexit. Nigel Farage was a Putin plant. Yeah, but you know what? When you go into Nigel Farage's energy, he's also talking with British intelligence. So I don't know what that's about. We can look at that today if people want. If he's doing that, if he's a cooperating witness or if he's an informant, that would probably protect him from prosecution. All right, so we've got a little bit of time today. I'm happy to look at what everybody wants to look at, but the first thing I want to look at, because I have not done it in a very, very long time, is I want to look at Donald Trump. And I want to look at, I just want to access his Akashic records. I haven't done that in a while just because I was kind of Trump burned out, but I feel like I've had enough of a break now from Trump that we can go. I needed like an 8-week break. Other than Trump, is there anything else that people want me to be looking at to do? People want me to look at Putin and what Putin's up to? We can do that. Did people want me to go back in and look at Brexit? It's kind of, when we looked at Brexit before, it was like, not gonna happen, because there was it's actually more divided now. When I looked at the energy last night, that it's getting more and more and more divided. But when you energetically go over the map of Great Britain, it's actually the swath of Wales that's pulling back. It's like, we don't know you people. It's like, I've never been to Wales, but I can only tell you what I see in the remotes. Oh, the weather. Yeah, let's do that, because I had a vision of Pennsylvania, of all places, getting really hard weather and getting socked. So I need to find out what that's about, because we do know that there was a lot of flooding in the Midwest and quite a bit of devastation. Oh, Andrew McCabe. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Let's do Andrew McCabe. I'm kind of worried about him. The weather and hurricanes will do. And as you can see, Mila is, oh, thank you, Susan. Susan has donated $10 to charity. We want to acknowledge that. Susan, please let us know where you want the money to go to so that we can honor your request. So, okay. So Andrew McCabe. Anything else? Tom Steyer's not. No, we already did that. He's flaking out, but he is going to be a strong supporter of the Democratic candidate going forward. Yeah, I agree, Kathy. I kind of feel sorry for Boris Johnson, because he just looks like a bumbling fool, and they're just going to step back and let him go up in smoke. Okay, I think we've got Andrew Yang. Yeah, we can look at him again. I've already looked at him. I don't see much happening with him, but we can see. All right, let's do a simple prayer just to focus. Mila will support us by having a nice cat nap. All right, I want to call on white light protection for myself and my viewers as I ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. I call on my spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Give us the clarity and wisdom that is needed to empower our viewers, that they make the best decisions for themselves, for the people they love, and for the planet. And with that, I say amen. Let's go in. We're starting with... Does everybody want to start with a general reading, just an Earth reading, just to check out what's going on globally? Can we do that? Let's do a global reading. We're going to do a global reading first, and then we're going to go into Trump. I just want to check on the heart of the world, as they say. Consciousness of humanity at this time. We'll go forward. Oh, Roses and Bees, charity of the choice. Thank you, Roses. The people want the Bahamas. And oh, thank you, Mark. I love Mark. Mark is a friend of mine now. He's my buddy in San Francisco. Actually, Mark, I'm going to try and see you hopefully in November, I think. We're looking at November for San Francisco. So maybe I'll bring my sister and we can all hang out. Yeah, so Mark, just let me know where you want the donation to go. Okay, let's take a look at these cards. This is a global overview of the politics of the planet over the next week or two. Where the world is at this time, trying to smooth the waters and come out of a rocky situation. You know, this is the feeling that Brexit is dead. Brexit is dead. Thank you, Alexandra, for donating to charity. Let us know where you want the charity to go. You can see the rocky waters smoother. So what happened was there appears to have been some type of chaos that took place. You can see the storm in the background, the rocky waters in the background, and we are maneuvering ourselves out of what potentially could have been a dangerous situation. This also could indicate war or turbulence between ourselves and other nations. But you can see the turbulent waters are in the back, and we are moving towards smoother waters in the future. So there is a kind of self-correcting taking place. You can see also here that a man emerges who is the peacekeeper. There appears to be some man somewhere who is coming as the King of Hearts, right? We think of the King of Cups as the King of King of Hearts. So this is the prediction. There will come a person. There is a man emerging on the political scene, and he's going to be building power rather quickly. And he appears to be a peacemaker, and he's going to turn this boat around and take us out of a potentially dangerous situation. I personally think it could be Joe Biden. But there's just somebody who knows the international community very well. He's been a statesman for a very, very long time. And he's going to come in, and he's going to very, very gently pull us out of this situation. You know, it's a shame that Biden is getting older, because if he were, younger, he could run 2 terms. He's saying he only wants to do 1 term. But it's the kind of a person who's a great mediator between both sides. And that's a good sign. Where we're at right now, we get our wish. So I think we are steering ourselves away from war. And I want to talk about another remote that just came to mind, and that is a remote that I had last night about Putin. Now, we know in the past that under the Obama administration, Obama was pressured by his generals, by certain Middle Eastern countries to bomb Libya. Now, at the time that Libya was bombed, Libya had developed a contract with Russia to build roads and new roads, right? New trade routes via trains to unite Africa. And it was actually a really, it could have potentially been a really positive way to bring Africa together, because the infrastructure and roads in Africa are not that great. And so Obama bombed Tripoli and took out Libya. And so any contract between Libya and Russia was demolished. So now, again, China and Russia are attempting to create these new trade routes in Africa. And it's good for Africa, and it's good for the economy of Africa. The feeling I get when I go into Putin's energy in last night's remote was that Putin is ready to be aggressive. So if we threaten any of Putin's new trade routes, he is going to go to war with us. That seems to be, he was ready. Do you remember the remote I did, I think it was last year, where I had a vision of Trump as he's being pulled out of the White House. Putin is becoming more and more aggressive. We got, energetically, it feels like we got very, very close to war. We got very close to war, and then this new energy comes in. Cooler heads will prevail. Everybody calm down. Let's have a conversation. The adults are now back in the room. That's the feeling. It's a feeling like everybody needs to just calm down. We're not going to war. Everything's going to be fine. Wish card moves in. Interesting, right? So we evidently, based on this remote and based on the cards, we had gotten a lot closer to potentially a military conflict than the public had been led to believe. What crosses us, the fool takes the leap of faith. So it's straight up, because this is my senior deck, and I always read, my tradition is to read my senior deck all straight up. But Fool takes a leap of faith. So there's some aspect to this new energy coming in where trust is going to be established between ourselves and our adversaries. Let me just push this back a little bit so people can see the cards better. I'm concerned a little bit about a 7 of Cups moving into the 4th house, because that indicates confusion or not. We want peace, we just don't know how to achieve it with a 7 of Cups in the 4th house. And then what we sit in is the Star. So it goes back to that feeling of Renaissance, good stars, a peaceful energy, a cool breeze coming in, ruach, peace, peace is coming in, a star card in the 3rd house. The peacemakers emerging, right? The peacemakers are emerging. Where we were in the past, the deals are dead. So we have to go to peace. This is a very important thing for people to hear in today's remote and in today's tarot card reading. We had to pursue peace because the other option is not an option. You can see 4 of Swords is in a past placement, which means that previous attempts to go in a different direction, whether it was war, whether it was Brexit. What's emerging here is that we are going to try and work out these differences in a way which does not involve war. We're moving away from war, we're moving away from conflict towards realistic resolution and realistic solutions. Yeah. And you can see here the Knight of Pentacles goes nowhere. So there's a stop. It's almost like a holding pattern. It's like the adults walk into the room and say, everybody just stop yelling. Everybody calm down. If you keep blaming each other and yelling and attacking each other, this boat's going to sink. We need to calm down. Cooler heads prevail. Let's slowly take the boat and turn it around. We're not going to war. This is stopping. All this crazy is coming to an end. Let's move towards some real solutions. The Star in the 3rd house, what we marinated, we're all on the same page. Nobody wants to go to war. Bolton is gone. They had to get rid of the war makers because they sincerely feared that we were going to war. As I had mentioned in previous remotes, I'm really concerned about the mental health of the military, because it felt like when I wrapped myself in that energy, I couldn't even be motivated to do my job. And so if you have military that's afraid to do their job, you're going to have a problem, and you can't get your soldiers to be motivated. That's a potentially dangerous situation for the United States to be in. Loss of morale, no motivation, not wanting to go anywhere, not wanting to fight. This is also the energy of the person who simply doesn't want to go anywhere. So it's also the protester who isn't loud. He's not screaming. He's not protesting by yelling. He's protesting by simply sitting quietly and doing nothing. There will be no cooperation. You understand? Like, if you're looking at this type of energy and the possibility of rocky waters, the reason why we are moving away from that is because people have simply sat down, Knight of Pentacles, and held their ground and said, I am not going to war. Where we are at right now, my favorite, Dubois, Yehudit. This is the energy of the archetype of the female judge who establishes safe territories, safe boundaries. She uses the staff of authority to establish who, this is also the wisdom of Solomon, cutting the baby up. She stands on the throne of judgment and she establishes appropriate boundaries. This is compassion with boundaries. The Queen of Wands is the archetype of compassion with boundaries. She does not spare the staff and spoil the child. By the way, the meaning of spare the rod, spoil the child, that doesn't mean you're supposed to take the rod and hit a child with it. That's a mistranslation of the original Hebrew. The rod was to stand in a position of authority in leadership. You weren't supposed to actually pick the rod up and start hitting people. The rod was a symbol of whoever held the staff or the rod. It symbolized that they were the leader of the tribe. So unfortunately, that got mistranslated and became a justification for physical violence against one's children. But that is not the meaning of spare the rod, spoil the child. Spare the rod means if you do not take a position of, if you don't stand up and say, okay, I'm the adult in the room, you're going to have chaos. So Queen of Wands comes in and she establishes a territory. What is around? The Lover's card. Excellent. We're now getting a situation where people are beginning to talk to people that they wanted nothing to do with in the past. This is kind of the feeling of when organic companies started to move into Walmart and they said, oh my God, I can't believe we're working with Walmart. It's that unlikely coupling between two people who may not necessarily even like each other. But we have a sacred contract or sacred union coming in, the hope and the fear, walking away from the battle. So at the one hand, we want to walk away from the battle. At the same time, we're afraid of walking away from the battle. And we're afraid of walking away from the battle because we're afraid of what we will lose if we do. And the final outcome challenges letting go of false beliefs, addictions, or a way of doing things that are not conducive to the community as a whole. Greed, lust, addiction. So there's still a strong hold by certain people in positions of power where their intentions are not the best, and that creates some further problems. But the final outcome is Three of Cups, and that indicates rejoicing or resolution or the ability to move through this. But you can see with a Three of Cups over a Devil's card that we're rejoicing over battling with the devil, or rejoicing, conquering over the devil is the clarification. To be clear, we're not talking about the literal devil. Devil is about addiction or being chained to a relationship that is inappropriate or unhealthy. And that seems to be the thing that we are being liberated or being removed from. The next 6 weeks are going to be pretty critical in terms of pulling us out of war with Russia and towards mediation. It's interesting that it took us so long to get to a point of mediation, but I understand it because of what Putin did. People didn't want to go into mediation. But whether we like it or not, there's some type of mediation that's going to be arranged over the next 6 to 8 weeks. All right, so that is the general worldview. I want to go in and take a look at Trump now. Deborah, yes, I'm with Deborah. It's so funny. In my first marriage, I had a traditional Jewish wedding, and it was modern. It was actually conservative, but one of the witnesses that signed my wedding paper was a friend of mine. Her name was Deborah, so that was kind of funny. She was the judge. Yes, this took place. So we all had a good laugh about that. All right, where is Trump's card? I want to grab his significator. I use King of Swords as his significator because that's an air sign male for people that are learning the tarot. You can see all the clouds in the background. It's a bit cloudy. He's a little bit of a pessimistic. He's got clouds. I had some dreams, there were clouds in my coffee. Another song? So yeah, he's got a little bit of a cynical side to him. As do we all. All right, Spirit. Thank you for answering our questions today. We want to take a look at Donald Trump. What's going to be with Donald Trump? He's being pulled with the peacemakers. He has no choice. The peacemakers are now getting in charge because you can see that King of Cups moving in. There are people who are saying, absolutely, this is not going to happen. There's more of us than them. Just remember that. It's like a plot by the Tories to make it out like Boris Johnson is crazy, a bumbling fool. And the Tories are now in on it. Get us out of this. Give us an off-ramp. Give us a Brexit off-ramp. That we want to get out of this. That's what they're doing. We like Wales. We don't want to lose Wales. We've already lost Scotland. Donald Trump. All right, let's look. Oof, I can tell you already, it's not good. Base of the matter, Knight of Swords moving in, anger, fighting regarding the judges coming in, or somebody with a staff of authority has come in, and it has led to some kind of fighting or issue that you can see. That this is Bob Mueller's card. So it's like that irritating mosquito that won't go away. It's almost like, and you can see here, anger, frustration, the wind. He's like the wind, the Knight of Swords coming in, angry. King of Wands moving in to stabilize, but also the King of Wands comes in and makes a legal decision that Trump may not be completely happy about. It's interesting because right now the courts are on his side. But if I were him, I would not be happy about that kind of placement. You can see the anger and then the stabilizing force of the King of Wands coming in. What is over him? Feeling defensive and feeling cornered. So it may publicly look one way, but privately, he has been cornered to a point where he feels like he's lost most of his power. This is something I've seen before with Trump. He has slowly had his powers taken away from him and instead finds himself surrounded by other people who are taking increasing power away from him and moving the nation in a different direction. I also see exhaustion in this card. The wounded person who's just getting really, really tired and doesn't want to keep fighting. What crosses him? Look at this. Very different cards than the cards for the world, which was talking about moving towards peace and negotiation. We can see here stress, anxiety, panic attacks at night, insomnia, migraine headaches. You can see the swords, and one of the swords is going into the back, and one of the swords is going into the shoulders, one of the swords is going into the head. Pains at night, insomnia, and that can be emotional pains at night. The person who is kept up at night by panic attacks, fear, to be the president and then try to get some sleep when you're vulnerable and you're trying to relax and go to sleep, and the problems of the world are on your shoulders. It's not unusual to see something like that if in a president's card. But in this particular case, it has to do with this constant fighting or a feeling like he's been taken over by people that are putting him in a corner and not allowing him to do so. Negotiations taking place. He's trying to negotiate at this time. And again, smoother waters. So they're moving away from war, I can tell you, with this type of card placement. And away from the King of Pentacles, the business model, towards cooperation. You can see a Four of Wands moving in. The best way to describe this energy is that Trump's power was taken away and he was only given one choice, which was to work it out. Thank you, Coriel, for the donation. And yes, I will donate them to the trees. With people's permission, I'd like to donate to a couple different tree organizations. I want to donate to AmericanForest.org, but I would also like to donate to the women in India. So that's a good organization as well. All right. So Four of Wands is the near future. So again, it's harmony. It's 4 months. It's 4 months. So there's some type of a contract or negotiation to smooth the waters. And most probably it'll be a 4-month period where he is at right now in a time of abundance. So they're concerned also about a crash in the economy, war, or chaos, or rocky waters having a negative impact on the finances, and trying to smooth the waters out. They're trying to avoid a recession, basically. And one of the reasons that they're moving away from war and chaos is because of the economic consequences of this battling, this arguing. It was not good for the economy of the nation. Yeah, you can see Page of Pentacles in the 8th house, the work, the business of the nation. He's probably going to put an end to the trade war with China with cards like this. You can see an offer coming in for business, fertility. He wants to get the economy up and running again, because if he doesn't move away from war towards peace and negotiation, the economy is going to flop and it will not bode well for his presidency. So they are desperately squirming to get things to be stable. The hope and the fear. See what I'm saying? Money, the business of the nation. And the final outcome, it stops. So he's stopped. There's a stopgap. Something has happened where the president has been stopped. Smooth. It's as if the powers have been taken away from him. Bolton's been taken away. The aggressive threatening has been taken away. He's good for advertising and riling up the base. But in terms of his actual powers, they seem to be tremendously limited here. There she is again, Deborah, the perfect judge, Yehudit, around walking away. The hope and the fear that he's losing his power, and then the final outcome, 6-month victory. So Trump still has a chance to save his presidency, but the only way he's going to be able to save his presidency is through negotiation and working with peacemakers and sitting down and working with environmentalists. He's gone in a direction where he has lost even parts of his base. The only way for him to self-correct right now, and he could still pull it off, is if he starts working with the peacemakers and starts doing what he can to save the economy, because there are some bad signs for the economy ahead. Oh, thanks, Holly. Just let me know where you want the money to go. So, you know, if you don't like Trump, this could be theoretically an upsetting reading, because if he's able to pull it off and save the economy, which is what he's focusing on with his people, he could over the next 6 months increase his numbers and save his presidency, because that's what he's focusing on right now. You can see it's all about the money. The money and the business. He understands that what people care about is their jobs, money, economy. And he advertised himself as the people's president, right? Going and seeing the forgotten people of America. So we'll see if he's able to pull himself out of this. All right, I want to check on Putin now. I just want to see, because Putin has basically, when I went into the energy of Putin, he's threatened to, he's saying that he will engage in military strikes if his trade routes are threatened. Spirit, tell us what Putin is up to. He was very close to military strikes from what I'm seeing. Bolton was getting us close to war with Iran and Russia. It's very dangerous. Yes, we can. I can take a look at this by Michelle. For you, anything, Michelle. Michelle works so hard, we have to give her whatever she wants. With gratitude. She's been very helpful. All right, Putin, and we're going to also take a look at the spy. Putin wants the spy back. Putin is wanting to negotiate to get the spy. He wants the spy. This particular spy doesn't feel that I'm sorry, I'm remoting, so just give me a second. So they're holding the spy to interview, and he may be part of some legal cases happening in the United States, and he's being protected, and he's going to be. Mueller had something to do with this in the sense that he seems to be, I believe he's going to be a witness in some kind of a grand jury questioning. And he's a very important witness, and so he's under extreme protection. And he's very dangerous to Putin. All right. Putin wants him back. He's going to be a very important witness. I had a patient say to me the other day, "Your eyes do weird things when you remote." It's like, I don't know. I don't. All right, let's look. All right, Putin, what do you want? This guy's boring. I'm sorry. I used to think he was so interesting. It's always the same damn thing. I had people begging me, please stop talking about the problems. Like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to access his records. He's like a broken record. You can see this. Hang it up. An offer. Guy doesn't want to go to war. Hanging it up. Take the offer. You have no choice. So we may start seeing, Putin was aggressive, but you can see an Ace of Cups moving in and hanging up the aggression. So we can all be friends. This happened because we started moving in to support the opposition. We started moving into the opposition. He became vulnerable. His popularity now is about the same as Donald Trump's. I think it's 45% now. So you can see an 8 of Pentacles moving in, the Master's card. He's at the desk, the master, trying to just deal with what he needs to deal with for his business. But he's been pushed and cornered into a situation where he has to negotiate, hanging up war, hanging up aggression, Ace of Cups. This is that cool energy moving in. And what crosses him? The fighting or the negotiation or the exchange of ideas. The reason he has to do this is because America is going to be very aggressive about supporting the opposition to the point where we will dismantle the Putin government if he does not come in and begin to work with us. At this point, as far as NATO is concerned, there is no negotiating with Putin because he's too emotionally unstable and too unpredictable. And they feel he is a threat to global security. And so once it got to that point, we start to see a new Putin emerge. Look at this. There are so many things I could do for you. 6 of Pentacles. Let us make money together. How's my Russian accent? People say, you know, Whimsy, you've got a terrible Russian accent. I know. Where we sit, a transformation. Look at this. This is his 3rd house. This is what he marinates in. He has no choice. Putin needs to change or there will be no more Putin in Russia. Look at how dramatic that is. For the people who are readers, look at that. Look at where he's coming into. 6 of Pentacles. What do you want? What do you want? What do you need? Whatever you need, whatever you want, I got it. I got what you want. I got what you need. I've had a change of heart. I've been transformed. I've seen the light. I'm willing to work hard and negotiate with people I don't agree with. I want to hang up the war. I want to bring in the love bug. Love bug, baby love bug. Did anybody think that Putin was a love bug? I saw him as a love bug. I've seen Putin be a love bug. But now we're seeing a new Putin. It's like a love bug Putin. I'm nice. You just need to know me better. It's all been a misunderstanding. All right. No. Sitting in the past, the world. He wants the world. He wants the world. He wants his trade routes all over the world. Look, if he can't get the Soviet Union, at least give him the trade routes of the Soviet Union so that he can get his trade out. Sorry, I know y'all hate hearing it, but that's the truth. He's looking towards his own ethos or his own view of the world in order. He has to save face. You see this placement here? His higher self, 6 of Pentacles, he has to do it in a way where he saves face because this guy has a lot of ego. So he's been put into a situation that he has to hang up, but he has to do it in a way where he saves face. So how I would interpret that is that we need to give Putin an out. We need to put him in a situation that's less aggressive and say, well, of course I want to negotiate. All is forgiven. You know, we're giving him an. There are people talking about giving him an offshoot, like Okay, I did it. I'm sorry. I apologize. Punish me. Do whatever you have to do. And then now let's talk and negotiate. Hang a Five of Wands is about people working it together that may not necessarily that may be in conflict. If it's inverted, I don't like an inverted Five of Wands, but straight up, I'm okay with that. Look at this. The thief is trying to get away with it. He's fleeing. So right now, he's starting to hide documents. He's starting to cover up transactions, international deals, his work in Venezuela, etc. These secret deals, these secret trade routes. You know, as far as Putin's concerned, of course I had to go black market. Of course I had to have illegal trade routes. I did that because you folks wouldn't let me have the other trade routes. So, you know, he's justifying it. Well, I had to do it. You wouldn't let me. You sanctioned me. Seven of Swords, trying to break away or get away from a situation that, you know, where he is the thief. He's trying to get away with something that has created stress or disharmony for others. I wouldn't be surprised if that was Trump's card, the hope and the fear, the great celebration, and then the final outcome, the star. So we're moving away. I don't think we're going to go to war. I think I'm wrong. Right. I hope I'm not wrong. And then the King of Wands. So again, we have peace, the archetype of the peacemakers here. He's becoming increasingly isolated. People don't want to work with him. And instead, saner heads prevail. That was interesting, huh? Poor Putin. He's being increasingly isolated, and now he wants to get along. Like I said in the remote 6 months ago, if you're going to take on NATO, you better take on NATO. And he played a very dangerous game. It's interesting, when I went into the remotes on China and dialogue between China and Russia and North Korea and China were actually getting really angry at Russia. And they felt that Russia was playing a very dangerous game and destabilizing the whole area. They were not happy with what Russia did. So that was kind of interesting. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather and the hurricanes for 2019. And I'll try and remote this a little bit today too for people. I know people like the remotes. I like remoting too. I learned to remote before I learned to be a tarot reader. Spirit, what's the weather like this fall for the United States and the rest of the world? Let's include everybody. Let's not just be these bloody self-centered Americans. Think about the rest of the world. The base of the matter. Okay, the first remote when I scan the globe is this drought. This drought in India is very serious. In terms of where I'm the most concerned as I go over the globe, it's these huge patches of drought, but the people can't get out. People can't get out and the people can't get to water. And I'm very worried about India, specifically India. That is the most pressing, even more than Africa to some extent, because there's more mobility in Africa. People, it appears that even though the infrastructure isn't great in Africa, there just seems to be more mobilization about this issue. Whereas in India, for whatever reason, everything is just stagnant. And there's a whole swath of India that's just becoming a barren wasteland. It no longer can sustain life. That's what it looks like. Also, the waters are warming up in parts of India, and I'm seeing green sludge and red sludge. So the waters are warming up around India, the pollution, and I'm seeing huge swaths of dry area, and I'm seeing this orange and green sludge coming to the surface from the heating of the waters. They're calling it a dead zone. So at this point, I'm sorry, I have to tell you what I see. At this point, they're trying to save the edges, expanding the plants outward, but the scientists are ready to call certain areas dead zones at this point. If they don't see an improvement soon, they're going to write these areas off. And they're some of the poorest areas of India. I'm sorry. Some areas are going to have to be hanged up, 5 of Swords moving in. But again, here comes the Peacekeeper, King of Cups. So there is this feeling of calmer waters, smoother heads will prevail, trying to deal with the situation. But if you're talking about an economic collapse, an environmental collapse, or if you're concerned about populations, I'm very concerned about this population based on this remote. We get our wish regarding the environment. There seems to be some very creative people in the business sector. You can see a 2 of Pentacles crossing the wish card, rocky waters, negotiating money, negotiating deals. But there is this, the best way to describe it is this. Let me just tell you what I see. Here's what happened. Traditional areas that have been polluted by conventional business, so business goes in and it's a boom or bust economy. This is my vision. It's a boom or bust economy, and then they completely destroy the ecosystem of that area. And then after they've killed all the turtles, for example, and now there's no more turtles to make turtle soup. They abandon the area, and then it's worthless land, and then they move on. There appears to be companies, this is the vision, that are environmentally motivated, that are buying up these wastelands that are really, really cheap, and they are investing in transforming them for green business. This seems to be the efforts of extremely wealthy companies with a vision of going forward green. So they love to buy up wastelands. That seems to be the vision. So they will go into an area that is a dead zone and they will check it out. They'll have their scientists come in, and the people selling it will say, we'll give you this dead zone for 50 cents an acre. Great, we'll take it. We'll take that dead zone. And then they will bring their scientists in, and they will rebuild the dead zone, and then they will convert it into an eco-friendly environment, and they will also bring in work and biodiversity. So that's I know nothing about this, but that seems to be where we're headed. There are companies that know how to do this. There are companies that have been, this is very good for them financially because they're buying pennies on the dollar, land pennies on the dollar, because the land is worthless. But if you know how to bring the land back to life, it's not worthless. If you have the patience to wait 10 years, 15 years, and you're buying up land at pennies, and you're planting stuff that's going to regenerate the ecosystem, and you're sitting back and waiting, and then all of a sudden you have a Shangri-La 15 years later, and it's now the property is worth hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars per acre. You've made a pretty darn good investment. That's the future of green business. And it's a win-win situation. It goes back to that vision we had of the green economy, where people are thinking in terms of what is best for Gaia, what is best for her, what does she need? Give her what she needs, and then she always promises that she will give us what we need in return. And so there are businesses that are enlightened enough that understand that. We don't have to be at war with Gaia. Not only that, but if we are at war with Gaia, we are at war with ourselves, and it will not bode well for us. There are people that are awake enough that understand in the business world that there's money to be made by protecting Gaia. We don't have, she is not the enemy. All right. What is above? Don't you just love her? I know I do. How many people here think that the Queen of Wands is their favorite queen? Because I can tell you she is my favorite queen. Boundaries, people, boundaries. Green economy, harvesting the green, harvesting. We plant the seeds to prepare. I love it when I see the cards before I open them. Is that not cool or what? Seven of Pentacles sitting in the third house. I take care of the land and the land gives me a portion for myself. Now, was that a cute trick I just did? What sits in the back? The sun, the heat, the global warming, and the near future. A new union, a new partnership between us, Gaia, and business, and the people. I love where the planet is headed. I'm very optimistic. I know a lot of people aren't, but I look at these cards and I get so optimistic. Where we are at right now, complete devastation, but the sun is rising. We nearly lost ourselves. We nearly lost ourselves. This is the worst it's ever been in terms of us fighting amongst ourselves. We got very close to midnight. What is around us? The card of victory. There are enough of us awake that we're going to pull ourselves out of this. The hope and look at this. The hope and the fear. Look at that. That we will crash and burn. The final outcome. We will put the fighting behind us. The Knight of Swords, or the Queen of Swords, excuse me. Clarification. We will have a new frugality. Less waste. Fool takes a leap of faith. Entrepreneurship. Walking away from things that don't serve us. Exile. Coming out of exile. God, what great cards. So it was a kind of spiritual exile if you think of it in terms of our connection to Gaia. So that is, it's going to be a long process. This is not going to happen overnight. This awakening is a slow process. Five of Pentacles is the beginning of healing because it's the recognition of exile and an attempt to return back to the church or back to the source of life. Thank you, Coriel, again. And yes, I will plant trees for you. Thank you. Okay, so in terms of the weather, yeah, I see more challenges in the weather. I'm still concerned about the southeastern United States, and even later in the year, I'm even concerned about the northeastern United States. I'm not picking up much in the Gulf just yet. But I am concerned about the methane gas emissions coming off of parts of Texas. Let me just remote it for people rather than guess. Yeah, so it's the south. There's I'm seeing some stuff in the southeast, some activity in the southeast. There could be a lot of electrical storms and flash flooding in the Midwest and in the southwestern United States. I'm seeing a lot of electrical storms, that sort of thing. All right, let's take a look at Andrew McCabe. Narcissism be eradicated in the world? Yes, because we're creating an economy and a political system where people like that will either cooperate. If you're creating a nation that's based on cooperation and protecting Gaia, malignant narcissists will be called out pretty quickly because we'll be able to recognize it. Okay, Spirit. Let's I'm just going to grab Andrew McCabe's card. I love what I do for a living. Did everybody like the video I did on the herbalism? That's fun. All right, Spirit. Let's take a look at Andrew McCabe. Poor McCabe. You gonna be okay, McCabe? He's building a case with his lawyers against the United States, it looks like. He's very organized. He's very angry. He's very emotionally upset about this. I feel a lot of anger. They shouldn't have done this because doing this is another action, another lawsuit. This is further proof of harassment. This was a mistake. How are we doing on time? Oh, this is going to have to be the last one because I have a patient. Let's see here. All right, base of the matter, he gets his wish, and he's going to get his money. McCabe will win it because they don't have a case and because he was in the right. You can see here his wish has been granted. The wish card, for those of you who are readers, you know what the Nine of Cups is. And we can see here his second base card. I always pick two. The second is to clarify or explain the first, and Ace of Pentacles is the wealth card. So in relationship to his question or his wish, yes, he will get his money. He's going to win. Not only that, but he now has evidence of a long, consistent campaign of harassment. What crosses him? A transformation. And there's the Tower. If they go after him legally, it might look bad now, but the long-term effects will not bode well for this administration, and it could lead to some really serious legal consequences for a lot of people. I wouldn't want to have that type of placement. If the underlining summary of this reading is that he gets his wish and he gets his money, whatever's going on right now would not bode well for whoever's creating the problem. What is above him? The Negotiator. Now, what is it you said you wanted, Mr. McCabe? What can we do for you now? This is almost a feeling like, yeah, he's in his power. He won, they lost. He's going to sit back and watch the collapse. He will win this case. Look at this. Look at this past. And they harassed his wife too, he's saying. They not only harassed him, they harassed his wife. They made his home life a living hell. And that also is grounds for a lawsuit. Completely unnecessary what they did. They threatened a government employee. They made his life hell. They tapped his phones. They harassed his wife. He was a loyal American employee for over 20-something years, and they did this to him. The rules are changing, and we can see him coming into his power, into a lawsuit where he's going to win. And but they put him through hell. Look at that. Celebration. They're going to have to drop this case. There is no case. Where he's at right now, victory. He's confident that the truth will eventually come out because he's aware of what the case or the investigation is. What is around him, new beginnings. Oh, there's a new group of people examining the case also, and they are more supportive of McCabe. The hope and the fears. There he is again, the peacemaker. Look at that. And then the final outcome, grief. He lost something, but something remains. Let's do a clarification. Negotiating with others. The perfect judge comes in. The hope and the fear, victory. And then the final outcome, the law comes in. I see also a potential raid, or something's going to happen that is kind of unexpected, where there's going to be a police action or a legal action, and McCabe has been alerted that something's going to happen, and it looks like it's of a legal nature. And he's sitting back and watching this collapse, and he's sitting back waiting for the normal people to come in and correct the situation. Time is on his side. All right, everybody. I want to thank you for coming in today and hanging with me. I have a couple of announcements. I was going to go to Australia in November, but then I found out how hot it might be in November. So I'm actually going to be in Australia next week. I decided to go a little earlier. I'm there visiting friends. I'll be in Sydney. If you would like to get a reading with me, I might still be able to do some readings, but I've blocked out everything for after next week. I will still be doing readings next week until early Saturday because my plane leaves at, I think, 11:30 at night Saturday. But I will not be back for probably 10 days. So if you're trying to get into a reading with me, you can go to tarotwithwhimsy.com. The information is usually below my videos. Or you can email me at whimsyanderson@gmail.com if you're trying to set up an appointment. And I can see people this week and next week, but then after that, like I said, I will not be here for a while. I'll try and stream and reach out to people when I'm in Australia because I will miss you folks. All right, I want to thank everybody for watching this stream. Thank you, Roseanne, everybody for coming in. Hi, Roxanne. Thank you to our moderators. I know that it's a lot of work, and I really appreciate the fact that you can come be a part of the community and volunteer because it helps. All right, thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Peace to all. Yes.